Now, what has been interesting in doing this kind of joy-based work, is that I usually get asked two key questions. The first one is, so describe exactly what this whole joy thing is. Is that happiness? Is joy the same thing as happiness? And the second question that I get asked is, how do you bring more joy into your life? So I'm going to answer both those questions. The first question, what exactly is this joy you're talking about? Joy is not the same thing as happiness. Happiness is actually a feeling. It's an emotion. You find $20 in your jeans when you take them out of the laundry and you're like, score, you're happy, right? When you swipe right on a dating app and you get a match, you're happy. But that feeling goes. It comes and it goes. It's like sadness or anger or frustration. It's a feeling, it's an emotion. It comes and it goes. The type of joy we're talking about is that internal state of contentment that allows you to deal with life, to be detached from outcomes, to focus on future rather than being paralyzed by the moment that you're in. So, when you have a car accident or you find out your grandfather has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, you have those same feelings of hardship and sadness and difficulty that other humans experience. But if you approach that from a place of joy, it can actually change the way you think about how to deal with those struggles and your response to it. And the thing is, people are thirsty for this kind of joy. We are hungry for it in this world. It's the reason that so much of what we share online, what we share with the people around us, is joyful content. We're more prone to share cat videos than we are videos of people suffering. Why is that? It is because we are all influencers in our own right. Whether you have 50 friends, you have 500 friends, or 5 million friends, you have a sphere of influence. And who doesn't want to be the person who brings a smile or a feeling of positivity to those around you? We all want to be the person who brings joy to the people around us. And so that feeling we're so thirsty for it. Which brings me to the second question, how? How do you bring more joy into your life? How do you embrace that? So a lot of social scientists and positive psychologists will tell you that one of the key ways to bring more joy into your life is to embrace certain principles: gratitude, compassion, service. There was a study done out of the University of Chicago. They brought in a bunch of college students, and they gave them some tests to measure their level of contentment and joy and happiness and such. And then they sent them out for the weekend with instructions. And they said, go out and make yourself super happy, and then come back. And they went out for the weekend, and what did they do? They threw parties, they hooked up with people, they drank, they just had a great time. And they came back the following week, and they took this same test. They had mixed up the questions. And the results were that almost across the board, all of them had lower levels of contentment and happiness. So then they sent them out again, and they said, okay, now this weekend, we want you to go out and we want you to do an act of service. We want you to do something for someone else. And so all these kids went out and they bought cups of coffee for people, they helped a friend move, they gave someone a ride to the airport, they did little acts of service. And they came back and took another test around their level of contentment, and lo and behold, almost universally again, everyone's happiness levels had increased. They had increased to the point that they were higher than when they first came in before the experiment. So those little actions like service and compassion and gratitude, scientists have proven, can contribute to more joy and more contentment in your life. But the thing that I have personally found most helpful is this quote: "Comparison is the thief of joy." It's a quote attributed to Theodore Roosevelt, and it's one of the things that I use quite a bit to guide my own approach to being a more joyful person and living with more joy. And I love this quote. It's one of my favorite. Because I think when we live in this strange world where everyone is on social media putting forth the best versions of themselves all the time, it can be so easy to fall into that trap of, well, I don't have this or I don't have that, and look what this person has. And that comparison deprives you of the ability to find joy in your own life. When I was sitting in that temple in Israel, brooding in the corner that I wasn't a celebrity and my life choices had not led me to launch SoulPancake, I was comparing myself to someone else. And it wasn't until I made the decision to say, you know what, I have something to offer. I have so many skills of my own. I am going to be detached from the outcome of this. I'm going to try, and I'm going to do my best to be a part of this and be of service in that way, but I'm going to be detached from the outcome. It wasn't until I did that that I was able to bring more joy into my life. Kid president, that little boy has so much against him. He could step outside and break his leg tomorrow, And yet he approaches every day with well, there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm going to live the most full life I can.